Hey guys, it's Carly here, the founder for Voice for Kids. I just wanted to touch on a topic today, and the topic is actually step parents. And I thought it'd be good if I bring some short talks on the perspective of what kids feel when it comes to certain areas of separation and divorce and what they're going through. So, the topic today of step parents, I just wanted to bring a bit of insight into how they feel at the time and some important tips that it's good to remember. So I think one of the most important things is always to remember that there's already an established family. You know, when you're entering into that area, it can be hard for you as well at the time because you're entering, but to always remember that there's an established family unit already. And, it's good not to push your friendship or love on those kids. Just take your time and just realize that those kids are slowly going to try and work out who you are. And some kids just might not like you in the beginning. It's just something, it's probably not even personal to you, it's probably nothing that you've done. But if they're still holding on to bitterness and anger and frustration of why the separation happened, you could be a target from the beginning anyway. You just got to remember that. And especially if it's a short time between the separation that suddenly you're in the picture, I think that could be very difficult for kids. So if you're a step parent, I just think you just got to really sometimes step back a bit and look at the timing of it all. If you're entering into a relationship, and if you're a person who's actually bringing someone into a partner into your family that's already established, you've got to really probably pick the time right of when to do that. I think it's really important that when you're deciding to date someone new, which could be down the track a potential step parent too, that you do not introduce that new partner to the family or the kids for quite a long time. I think you really need to have your time as you're starting to get to know each other. It needs to be separate to the children, because what happens is, especially children that probably have had a parent leave at a very young age, they're quite vulnerable to actually just learn to love that person. And what happens is, if that relationship doesn't work out and you're only dating for say 6 months, and this child has actually attached himself to that new man or that new lady, then what happens is when you break up, it's like losing another dad and losing another mum again, because they've become quite attached. Because I think sometimes step parents really over try. Sometimes because they want to be accepted, they over try, and to the point where the kids just fall in love with them because they're probably so playful and fun and everything like that, that then these kids, because the relationship doesn't work, they lose that person again, and it's very hard for them to keep adjusting to this in and out and in and out. So I think it's really important that parents really think wisely about when to bring someone into the relationship, to give it time to really know that this person could be a potential life partner before these children get vulnerable to the point of just really embracing that person. Remembering that they have a mum or dad already. If you're a step parent, remembering that they've already got that person. Obviously this was a situation that happened for me that became quite difficult. Obviously, I had a good experience with my stepdad, who understood that I had a father in my life. But when it came to my stepmum, it was a very different thing where she wasn't accepting of my mum being around. So, instantly what happened with me is, I fired up inside. I wasn't happy. I was feeling very angry then that she would come against my mum, because children automatically will protect their biological parents. They automatically go into that protection mode. And so my bridges between my stepmom and I burnt, and where my stepfather and I, to this day, is really, really strong, because he was accepting of the fact that I had a dad, even though my dad wasn't in my life. But just he appreciated that I honoured, my dad that wasn't around, but he appreciated that I had a life before he entered. I think another issue is where sometimes step parents get a little bit jealous of the child wanting to have one-on-one time with their mum or dad, and step parents want to be around the whole time. But you've got to give these kids space. You've got to give them space to have time with their parents. I really didn't get much time with my dad after he started dating my stepmom because, and a few times when we had issues, I was trying to get some time with him, and he made it quite clear to me that no, if you're going to talk to me, you're going to talk with her as well. And I was trying to have that one-on-one time with dad, and I think it's really important. I see a lot of kids now that I know have gone through separation, divorce, and they really crave that time with their mum and dad. And I say to these parents, yeah, you've got to have that time with these kids. You can't just always be having the step parent or the person you're dating around. You've got to have that one-on-one time because they still crave that, and you've got to give them that. It's just like a date. You're having a date night or a date day, but you've got to do it with your kids. You just got to remember that they're your priority. I think a good way for step parents to get to know these kids better is to find out what hobbies they like find out what hobbies these kids are into. Like if you're entering a family and you're starting to date, and you've got to the point where you're like, okay, it's time now to be introduced, and this new man that's coming in really likes to get involved, wants to get involved, say, with the kids in some way. If your son loves soccer, well, that's a good time for him to say, hey, let's go and have a kick at the ball, and try to communicate through their giftings, because kids have a lot of gifts, they have a lot of talents, they have a lot of things they're right into, and it'd be good if you can actually get involved with them with things they like. A little girl might like craft. We'll sit down, just draw with her and play with her and do craft with her, and that's a way to start communicating, because the kids feel like then you're entering their world, you're wanting to know about them, you're wanting to get involved with them, you're wanting to know what they're into. It's not just about their mum or their dad that you're dating, because sometimes we get, I've noticed with my dad, I think they go through this puppy love stage that teenagers go through, and they're redating, and they're in their 40s or 30s or 40s or 50s, and they're redating, and it goes into this self-centered focus of their new relationship, and the kids are totally forgotten about it. And that's where a jealousy comes in with the kids, and they start to put up a wall like, hey, are you now more into him or her than you are into me now, and I'm not as exciting anymore. And the kids then really you have to be careful. They can go off the rails, and what they start to do is they start to misbehave, they start to act out, whether it's drugs, whether it's sexual activity, whether it's just being like misbehaving and having attitudes and being rebellious. They're doing it to get attention, because your attention has now gone to this new person, and they're not getting any. So they know how to play the game, and they will play it hard, and they're trying to get your attention. So you've got to be careful that you don't take all your time over to this new person, that you still stay very focused on your child, because otherwise they will start to seek attention. You'll just say, oh, they're just, they're going through a stage, they're going through this stage, they're just misbehaving. Probably not. They're probably doing it to get your attention. So it's something you just need to be aware of. I think a really important one for step parents is to be patient. Just be patient. Don't try and push yourself on these kids. Don't try and fix it all in 3 weeks. I want them to love me. It might take 2 years for them to actually love you. It's not something that they naturally are going to find, because in their makeup as a child, they're brought up to believe that they have a mum and a dad, and that's who they're meant to love, and that's who they're meant to embrace, and that's what they're meant to love, is that unity. Now, with that unity's been broken, their heart's been broken, you've entered it. They might like, as I said, they might not like that you've entered it, but the thing is, you have to take time, and it can take months, it might take a couple of years, to really want to enter their world, to know who they are as little individuals. They're people, We always look at them as, oh, they're just little kids, they know no better. I beg to differ with that. I think kids are smarter than you think. They're their own self, they've got their own personality, and they want people to love them for who they are and know them for who they are. So I really believe it's really important that we be patient, be mature, don't get offended so quickly when the kids aren't, loving you as quickly as you want to love them, and just if you're the parent dating, do it the right way, take your time. Don't introduce the kids too early, as I said. These kids are just trying to deal with something that's probably not what they wanted to deal with, and it's not a choice that they've had, remember. This is their world's been changed without their choice. So just a few helpful tips that I want to give you around step parents entering, and how you deal with them coming in, and how you should look at for your kids. So yeah, stay tuned, and I'll come back with a few more topics about different areas and how to help your kids. This is Carla Lee, founder of Voice for Kids. Thanks for listening.